You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change. You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Hey guys, good morning. Well, it's morning where I am. I don't know what it's like where you are. But my name is Mick McQuillan, and of course, welcome to Freedom, Health and Lifestyle. This is personal development with a business plan. And of course, my good friend, Joye Maka Unga, as we like to call him, Joey, the $1 Million Difference Maker Maka Unga. Hopefully he's going to join us in a little while. I think he's just on his way back from the airport. And yeah, so what's this about? Well, this week it's about The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. We're going to listen, probably won't get all the way through it, but and we can have some conversations along the way. It's really interesting. I think you're going to find it. If you've never heard it before, I think you're going to enjoy it. So we're going to check that out. But look, this is all about thinking and doing better, right? Because we want better. I think everybody wants better. It doesn't matter whether it's better health, better relationships, a better job, better life, better health, better finances. whatever it is, I don't know what it is for you, but I'm sure there's some areas in your life that you want better. Maybe you're kind of happy in some, but you want to improve others. Well, maybe some of this stuff will be able to help you think about what it is that you want. And that's what Joey says, right? You've got to know what you want. In fact, we talked about it last week. You've got to ask yourself that question. Well, what is it that you want? And how do you get it, right? In fact, that video that we just watched there is all about that, making that committed decision. It takes guts and goals, right? So don't forget, like, subscribe, share, click that notification button. You'll learn when we're on, usually around the same time every week. We're half an hour later this week, believe it or not. Yeah, our clocks went back here in Europe, so kind of threw me off a little bit. I don't know if that catches you out. It caught me out on a couple of things because I do, for the last 3 weeks, I think 3 weeks ago, the clocks went back in the States, and I do a couple of things in the States. The first week I missed because I was like an hour late, and then constantly trying to catch up and remember, that the time is different somewhere else. And Joey's time doesn't change until, a couple of weeks' time. And Joey's in Australia. So does it just keep us confused? I don't know. But anyway, listen, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click the notification button. You'll learn when we're on. And if you're looking for me, you can find me here, petsofthesisland.com/academy. The academy is where you can join, and we can teach you how to start your own business where you get to keep every penny that you earn, right? So check that out, petsofthesisland.com/academy. That's where you'll find me. You'll find Joey on his Facebook page, creates a lot of content. And of course, you'll also find him here on his Isogenics business page. Links are in the description. So go and check out what we're doing. And maybe you want to get involved. Maybe, I don't know. Let's find out. So anyway, right, let's get into it. So this is The Strangest Secret. This is just an audio file, right? It's on YouTube. You can go and find it. I don't think the link is in the description, but maybe I'll just grab it here and I'll put it in the comments. Let me have a look. Where's the comments? Comments, right? I'll stick it in the comments and you can go and check it out for yourself, So it's well worth a listen. Now, this comes with a 30-day challenge as well, to listen to this morning and evening. So I don't know whether we want to do that. Do we want to do that? It depends on how badly you want, your life to change and get better, doesn't it? Anyway, right, let's listen.
I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world. Not long ago, Albert Schweitzer, the great doctor and Nobel Prize winner, was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" The great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think." And it's about this that I want to talk with you. We live today in a golden age. This is an era that man has looked forward, dreamed of, and worked toward for thousands of years. But since it's here, we pretty well take it for granted. We in America are particularly fortunate to live in the richest land that ever existed on the face of the earth, a land of abundant opportunity for everyone. But do you know what happens? Let's take 100 men who start even at the age of 25. Do you have any idea what will happen to those men by the time they're 65? These 100 men who all start even at the age of 25 believe they're going to be successful. If you asked any one of these men if he wanted to be a success, he'd tell you that he did. And you'd notice that he was eager toward life, that there was a certain sparkle to his eye, an erectness to his carriage, and life seemed like a pretty interesting adventure to him. But by the time they're 65, 1 will be rich, 4 will be financially independent, 5 will still be working, 54 will be broke. Now think a moment. Out of the 100, only 5 make the grade. Why do so many fail? What has happened to the sparkle that was there when they were 25? What's become of the dreams, the hopes, the plans? And why is there such a large disparity between what these men intended to do and what they actually accomplished? When we say about 5% achieve success, we have to define success. And here's the definition. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man is working toward a predetermined goal and knows where he's going, that man is a success. If he's not doing that, he's a failure. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Himself. And in this book, he says, The opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity. People acting like everyone else, without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it. In America right now, there are over 14 million people 65 years of age and over, and about 13 million of these 14 million are broke. They're dependent on someone else for life's necessities. Now, we learn to read by the time we're 7. We learn to make a living by the time we're 25. Usually, by that time, we're not only making a living, we're supporting a family. And yet, by the time we're 65, we haven't learned how to become financially independent in the richest land that has ever been known. Why? We conform. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95% who don't succeed. Now, why do these people conform? Well, they don't know, really. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that happen to them, by exterior forces. They're outer-directed people. A survey was made one time that covered a lot of men, working men, and these men were asked this question: why do you work? Why do you get up in the morning? 19 out of 20 had no idea. If you ask them, they'll say, everyone goes to work in the morning. And that's the reason they do it, because everyone else is doing it. Now let's get back to our definition of success. Who succeeds? The only man who succeeds is the man who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal. He's the man who says, I'm going to become this, and then begins to work toward that goal. I'll tell you who the successful people are. A success is the school teacher who's teaching school because that's what she wanted to do. The success is the woman who's a wife and mother because she wanted to become a wife and mother and is doing a good job of it. The success is the man who runs the corner gas station because that's what he wanted to do. The success is the successful salesman who wants to become a top-notch salesman and grow and build with his organization. A success is anyone who is doing deliberately a predetermined job because that's what he decided to do deliberately. But only 1 out of 20 does that. That's why today there isn't really any competition unless we make it for ourselves. Instead of competing, all we have to do is create. Now, for 20 years, I looked for the key which would determine what would happen to a human.
What do you reckon to that? I think I was talking earlier on. I think I forgot to take myself off mute. What I was talking about, because Bob was not Bob. He began by talking about the 5%, if you like. The 1% wealthy, 4% rich, and then the 96%. They just don't make it. And Bob Proctor talks about that in the Money 1, Money 2, Money 3 formula that he has. It's worth looking at that. So I'd try and dig that out. Maybe we'll have a look at that on a later podcast, because it is interesting and it all ties into this. And obviously Bob Proctor, if you didn't know, he went and he worked with Earl Nightingale and Leonard Cohen, I think that's his name. But again, this worthy idea, this thing that you want to do, want to become. It's interesting when he talks about successful people are people who choose to do what they want to do. That's the definition of success, doing that thing that you want to do. But he talks about 1 in 20 when you do that. Which one are you? Are you that one, or are you in the 19? Sometimes but do we have choices? Of course we have choices. And we choose. Do we choose conformity? I suppose a lot of the time, it's just comfort, isn't it? Everybody else is doing it, so we do it too. So it is challenging, isn't it? It's challenging. All right, let's get back to it.
Human being. Was there a key I wanted to know which would make the future a promise that we could foretell to a large extent? Was there a key that would guarantee a person's becoming successful if he only knew about it and knew how to use it? Well, there is such a key, and I found it. Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet seem to get everything? They have the magic touch. You've heard them say that about someone. Everything he touches turns to gold. And have you ever noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who is a failure tends to continue to fail? It's because of goals. Some of us have them, some don't. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. Now think of a ship leaving a harbor, and think of it with the complete voyage mapped out and planned. The captain and crew know exactly where it's going and how long it will take. It has a definite goal. 9,999 times out of 10,000, it will get to where it started out to get. Now let's take another ship, just like the first, only let's not put a crew on it, or a captain at the helm. Let's give it no aiming point, no goal, no destination. We just start the engines and let it go. I think you'll agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink or wind up on some deserted beach a derelict. It can't go any place because it has no destination and no guidance. It's the same with a human being. Take the salesman, for example. There is no other person in the world today with the future of a good salesman. Selling is the world's highest paid profession, if we're good at it and if we know where we're going. Every company needs top-notch salesmen, and they reward those men. The sky is the limit for them. But how many can you find? Someone once said, The human race is fixed, not to prevent the strong from winning, but to prevent the weak from...
It just makes me laugh, because everybody hates selling, don't they? Do you know what I mean? They do. Like you talk to, well, not everybody. I know that's a stupid thing to say, or a silly thing to say. But when most people think of the idea of having to sell something to someone, like they kind of like cringe, because and they say I can't sell things. The truth is, we're always selling something. We're always selling something to someone, aren't we? And it does make me laugh that personally I enjoy sales. Not that I think that I do sales, but of course I do. In my business, we talk to people, and of course you're selling an idea, a vision, a dream, for somebody else, and that's when I think about selling. I don't think about selling. I think about the problem that we're solving, and that's really what sales is. It's about solving somebody else's problem, either with a product or a service. And I don't know. I wonder what people think sales is. That's what I think it is. I think it's solving someone else's problem, helping someone feel better about something that makes them feel bad, with a product or a service. And we do it all the time. Like if you go and see a good movie, you might come home and you might, have you seen that movie? Oh, it's amazing. You should see it. Or if it's a TV program, oh, I love that TV program. You should see it. That's selling. Now that's not necessarily making someone feel better about something that makes them feel bad, because, that's maybe just going to make them feel better because you enjoyed it, made you feel good. So personally, I like sales. Not that I believe I do it. I show and tell, show people what we've got, tell them where they can find out more, and hopefully solve their problem. But again, it's up to you how you decide to describe it. But I enjoy it and I like it. And what do you reckon to goals? Magic touch. The key to success is goals. And of course, that's what, in that first video that we watch it at the end as well, Bob talks about, it's going to take guts and goals, right? And you've got to have goals. What can you expect to achieve if, you're not going to achieve anything if you don't have goals? You've got to have a destination. All right.
Losing. The American economy today can be likened to a convoy in time of war. The entire economy is slowed down to protect its weakest link, just as the convoy had to go at the speed that would permit its slowest vessel to remain in formation. That's why it's so easy to make a living today. It takes no particular brains or talent to make a living and support a family today, so we have a plateau of so-called security, if that's what a person's looking for. But we do have to decide how high above this plateau we want to aim for. Now let's get back to the strangest secret in the world, the story that I wanted to tell you today. Why do men with goals succeed in life, and men without them fail? Well, let me tell you something which, if you really understand it, will alter your life immediately. If you understand completely what I'm going to tell you from this moment on, your life will never be the same again. You'll suddenly find that good luck just seems to be attracted to you. The things you want just seem to fall in line. And from now on, you won't have the problems, the worries, the gnawing lump of anxiety that perhaps you've experienced before. Doubt, fear, well, they'll be things of the past. Here's the key to success, and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about. Throughout all...
Now this is the key to success and failure. Not just success, but success and failure. You just get slapped around the head with this stuff sometimes. Like, we're going to find out. We're going to find out that you become what you think about, and it's the key to your success and to your failure. Okay, let's have a listen, Earl.
All history, the great wise men and teachers, philosophers and prophets have disagreed with one another on many different things. It is only on this one point that they are in complete and unanimous agreement. Listen to what Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, said. He said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." Disraeli said this, "Everything comes if a man will only wait. I have brought myself by long meditation to the conviction that a human being with a settled purpose must accomplish it, and that nothing can resist a will that will stake even existence for its fulfillment." Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." William James said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." And he also said, We need only in cold blood act as if the thing in question were real, and it will become infallibly real by growing into such a connection with our life that it will become real. It will become so knit with habit and emotion that our interest in it will be those which characterize belief. He also said this: if you only care enough for a result, you will almost certainly attain it. If you wish to be rich, you will be rich. If you wish to be learned, you will be learned. If you wish to be good, you will be good. Only you must then really wish these things, and wish them exclusively, and not wish at the same time 100 other incompatible things just as strongly. In the Bible you read, in Mark 9:23, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale said this: this is one of the greatest laws in the universe. Fervently do I wish I had discovered it as a very young man. It dawned upon me much later in life, and I found it to be one of the greatest, if not my greatest discovery outside of my relationship to God. And the great law, briefly and simply stated, is that if you think in negative terms, you'll get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. That is the simple fact which is at the basis of an astonishing law of prosperity and success. In 3 words, believe and succeed. William Shakespeare put it this way: our doubts are traitors, and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. George Bernard Shaw said, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them. Well, it's pretty apparent, isn't it? And every person who discovered this for a while believed that he was the first one to work it out. We become what we think about. Now, it stands to reason that a person who's thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it, because that's what he's thinking about. And we become what we think about. Conversely, the man who has no goal, who doesn't know where he's going, and whose thoughts must therefore be thoughts of confusion and anxiety and fear and worry, becomes what he thinks about. His life becomes one of frustration, fear, anxiety, and worry. And if he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing. Now, how does it work? Why do we become what we think about? Well, I'll tell you how it works as far as we know. Now, to do this, I want to tell you about a situation that parallels the human mind. Suppose a farmer has some land, and it's good, fertile land. Now, the land gives the farmer a choice. He may plant in that land whatever he chooses. The land doesn't care. It's up to the farmer to make the decision. Now, remember, we're comparing the human mind with the land, because the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it doesn't care what you plant. Now, let's say that the farmer has 2 seeds in his hand. One is a seed of corn, the other is nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs 2 little holes in the earth, and he plants both seeds, one corn, the other nightshade. He covers up the holes, waters, and takes care of the land, and what will happen? Invariably, the land will return what is planted. As it's written in the Bible, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Remember, the land doesn't care. It will return poison in just as wonderful abundance as it will corn. So up come the 2 plants, one corn, one poison. Now, the human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land, but it works the same way. It doesn't care what we plant. Success, failure. A concrete worthwhile goal, or confusion, misunderstanding, fear, anxiety, and so on. But what we plant, it will return to us. You see, the human mind is the last great unexplored continent on the earth. It contains riches beyond our wildest dreams. It will return anything we want to plant. Now, you might say, well, if that's true, why don't people use their minds more? Well, I think they've figured out an answer to that, too. Our mind comes as standard equipment at birth. It's free, and things that are given to us for nothing, we place little value on. Things that we pay money for, we value. The paradox is that exactly the reverse is true. Everything that's really worthwhile in life came to us free. Our mind, our soul, our body, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of family and children and friends. All these priceless possessions are free, but the things that cost us money are actually very cheap and can be replaced at any time. A good man can be completely wiped out and make another fortune. He can do that several times. Even if our home burns down, we can rebuild it, but the things we got for nothing, we can never replace. The human mind isn't used merely because we take it for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big important ones. Universities have proved that most of us are operating on about 10% of our abilities. Decide now, what is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you'll ever make in your entire life. Do you want to be an outstanding salesman, a better worker at your particular job? Do you want to go places in your company, in your community? All you've got to do is plant that seed in your mind. Care for it. Work steadily toward your goal, and it will become a reality. It not only will, there's no way that it cannot. You see, that is a law, like the laws of Sir Isaac Newton, the laws of gravity. If you get on top of a building and jump off, you'll always go down. You'll never go up. And it's the same with all the other laws of nature. They always work. They're inflexible. Think about your goal in a relaxed, positive way. Picture yourself in your mind's eye as having already achieved this goal. See yourself doing the things you will be doing when you've reached your goal. Ours has been called the phenobarbital age, the age of ulcers and nervous breakdowns. At a time when medical research has raised us to a new plateau of good health and longevity, far too many of us worry ourselves into an early grave trying to cope with things in our own little personal ways, without learning a few great laws that will take care of everything for us. These things we bring on ourselves through our habitual way of thinking. Every one of us is the sum total of his own thoughts. He is where he is because that is exactly where he really wants to be.
Rookie mistake. That's frightening when you think about it. Like if you actually just stop and think about it, you know, you are where you are because you want to be there. You know, there's no, and if all you're doing is complaining about it, all you're going to get is more complaining, more things to complain about. Here's my good friend Joye Maka Unga. Joey!
Hey, Mike.
Sorry, buddy. Completely
Nah,
my bad. My bad.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So I've been listening to The Strangest Secret here, right?
Mhm,
In fact, first, you know, look, obviously introduce my good friend Joye Maka Unga. Joey, the $1 million difference maker Maka Unga, right? That's how we know him. And Joey's in Australia. Joey, say hello.
Hey, good day, good afternoon, good evening. This is Joye Maka Unga here from Sydney, Australia. I'm so happy and so grateful to be once again with my great friend Mike McKillen from the Republic of Ireland. You know, I always look back in my journey and I couldn't believe that, a boy from the island climbing coconut tree that able to make friends all over the world, and including the one and only Mike McKillen. And it's a pleasure and an honor. And I have to tell you, Mike is a blessing for my life, my journey, and my career in our profession of entrepreneur and network marketing. So I'm grateful to contribute in every Sunday when I'm on the show together with Mike, because sometimes I was away with the army, and then Mike still hold the fort. So tonight I forgive you, Mike. It's like talking about eating a bite. I want you to take as much part of the bite, and because most of the time I take a lot of the time, and especially the last bit, I can carry it away and share in my journey, and also the last portion of the program. Mike give me the pleasure of say a few last words, and even though I want him to do that because I love listening to him, but he's so generous with his time and his wisdom, and allow me to share my journey too. So I'm very grateful.
No, Joey, you know, we appreciate you for sure. And, you know, you make a difference in a lot of people's lives, you know. And you probably know The Strangest Secret probably off by heart. Yeah, and it's incredible. You know, I was just listening to that, and he was talking about the deadly nightshade, and you talk about this a lot, you know, planting that seed and watering it. And I was just saying that it's frightening, really, you know, that you get what you think about. You know, and if you're just moaning and complaining about your circumstances, all you're going to get is more circumstances to moan and complain about. You know, he was talking about, you know, if you're thinking of nothing, you become nothing. You know, he was talking about in relation to not having goals. Like if you don't have goals, if you've got nothing to think about, you know, you're going to become nothing, you know, because we become what we think about. And it's frightening, Joey, you know, to think that you could just be drifting, like he talks about, you know, the boat leaving the harbor, you know, without a captain at the helm and a goal and a destination to aim for. You know, you're unlikely to get out of the harbor, and if you do, you're likely to sink. You know, like this stuff is frightening. You know, when you put it into, you know, real life context, that without goals, you know, without, you know, something to aim for, without something to, you know, without that journey, you know, you're just wandering aimlessly, you know, to nowhere. You know,
Absolutely.
it's bloody worrying. You know, and this is why goals are important. Now, you know, I actually got my new goal card. You know,
Oh, nice.
I did it.
Wonderful.
laminated it this morning and everything. Right?
Good man. Good man.
So,
Good
yeah,
man.
because I think it's important,
Yep.
it's important to have it, even just knowing it's there and just touching it, just, reignites the imagination and the thinking. Because he was talking about, you've got to imagine, your life as it would be. And he's also getting into the fact that your brain and your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between, what you vividly imagine and what you experience. And that's why it's important to imagine that, but with feeling. It's got to be with feeling. Feeling is like the sunshine and the water. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nurture. So, God, and he was talking about selling. And it was funny because at the beginning of this, he's talking about selling, sales, and how it's one of the best professions. And I was thinking to myself, and I was even saying that people hate selling. Talk to someone about, oh, do I have to sell something? Oh my God, they cringe. They're like, but we sell all the time. Like if you see a good TV program or a good movie, you sell it to your friends. Oh, have you seen that movie? I love that movie. You should go and see it. Like you're always selling something, selling yourself or doing something. It's like you're saying, and then obviously, he starts off by saying that men don't think, right? That's the problem in the world today. Bearing in mind that this was, first produced in the late 1950s. So we're 60 years, 70 years on. And it's still the same. But he got into after so many years, 25-year-old up to 60, if you took 20 people or 100 people, one person would be wealthy, 4% would be financially, well off, and they'd be okay. And that's the 5%. And we hear about Bob Proctor talk about the 5%, in the money one, money two, money three evaluation, where 96% of people are just trading time for money. They're just doing that home to work routine. They've got their job, and then you've got a small percent of people who are doing the money. This is something that you focus a lot on too. And then you have this other group, who are leveraging, time and money.
Yeah.
And this is where real wealth can be created and gained, not just for that individual, but for a collective group of people. Do you know what I mean? They're all in it together. And it's one of the reasons why you and I both love that model of network marketing, because it is literally in that money one bracket. Does it rely on selling? Sure, it does, but everybody needs things, products, services. We all do. Do you know what I mean? And people don't buy what they need. They buy what makes them feel good. So it's about, if we all just bought the things that we needed, we'd all have the same car. We'd all be wearing the same clothes. There would be all these different brands because we wouldn't need them, because we'd just have, one car that we'd all kind of, drive around in, because you wouldn't, like a car just gets you from A to B. Like you wouldn't need we'd all have the same one, the same model, but we don't. We have different ones because we want different things. So anyway, right, listen, we'll get back into it. You'll have to catch up. Well, I've caught you up, and then we shall see, and we're going to get your final thoughts at the end anyway. All right?
Yep.
Whether he'll admit that or not. Each of us must live off the fruit of his thoughts in the future, because what you think today and tomorrow, next month and next year, will mold your life and determine your future. You're guided by your mind. I remember one time I was driving through Arizona and I saw one of those giant earth-moving machines roaring along the road at about 35 miles an hour with what looked like 20 tons of dirt in it, a tremendous, incredible machine, and there was a little man perched way up on top with the wheel in his hands guiding it. And as I drove along, I was struck by the similarity of that machine to the human mind. Just suppose you're sitting at the controls of such a vast source of energy. Are you going to sit back and fold your arms and let it run itself into a ditch? Or are you going to keep both hands firmly on the wheel and control and direct this power to a specific, worthwhile purpose? It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. You see, the very law that gives us success is a two-edged sword. We must control our thinking. The same rule that can lead a man to a life of success, wealth, happiness, and all the things he's ever dreamed of for himself and his family, that very same law can lead him into the gutter. It's all in how he uses it, for good or for bad. This is the strangest secret in the world. Now, why do I say it's strange, and why do I call it a secret? Actually, it isn't a secret at all. It was first promulgated by some of the earliest wise men, and it appears again and again throughout the Bible. but very few people have learned it, understand it. That's why it's strange, and why, for some equally strange reason, it virtually remains a secret. I believe that you could go out and walk down the main street of your town and ask one man after another what the secret of success is, and you probably wouldn't run into one man in a month who could tell you. Now, this information is enormously valuable to us if we really understand it and apply it. It's valuable to us not only for our own lives, but the lives of those around us, our family, employees, associates, and friends. Life should be an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. A man should live fully, be alive. He should be glad to get out of bed in the morning. He should be doing a job he likes to do because he does it well. One time I heard Grove Patterson make a speech, the editor-in-chief of the Toledo Daily Blade, and as he concluded his speech, he said something that I've never forgotten. He said something like this: "My years in the newspaper business have convinced me of several things, among them that people are basically good, and that we came from someplace, and we're going someplace. So we should make our time here an exciting adventure. The architect of the universe didn't build a stairway leading nowhere."
Joe, I want you to comment on that, because that, when he's talking there from that point of view, from that perspective, he's talking about that newspaper editor. He says, we came from somewhere and we're going somewhere, and we're here to enjoy ourselves as well. How do we find ourselves in the rat race?
Yeah, good question. Good question. First of all, based if you have faith or not, we totally respect you, and we're not here in this podcast to prejudge any belief or any faith. We just share our own experience, and I think that's part of our disclose. And we respect every belief, every religion. But we speak from our experience. We all growing up in an environment, it's all been lead by our parents, by our great grandparents, that they go to school, get a good grade and find a good job, and some of them, they drop out from school and just end up in the factory world. Back in the day, the industry world, the manufacturer, working hard labor, just to support the family, or earn a living. But that's part of the program, and I think that's why everyone grow up, and because what they see in their background or their environment, from home, from school where they went to, it's already kind of like programmed to go in the same thing. Everybody do the same thing all the time, and we grow up and kind of like part of normal that just follow the crowd. Whatever other people do, whatever your parents do, you can do it. You can do the same thing. And Bob Proctor talked about it in his first video that Mike always play, and before and after, that you can change it. You can change it. It takes courage, cuts, and goals. That's why it's very important that we have something to work towards it. Have a destination. Where you currently in, and if we all currently ask where we are now, I can honestly, for your awareness, that I came from somewhere, like I grew up in an island, and I see my dad was hard working person. My dad tried to be a provider for 11 siblings, seven brother, 4 sister, and my mom was a homestay mom. And everyone go to school and get a good grade, and you know most of them, they didn't get to uni, or other tertiary school or institute. But only a few of us, some of them drop out and they start working straight away and end up marry, have a family, build a life in different countries. But that's it's all programmed because where we grow up, where we grow up in a system that the government didn't help at all. The government put us in an institute or a school where they design you to become an employer, an employee, so that you can bring money back to the government to support the government. And it's I think most of us, that's our story. We all start somewhere. We all work. You have your own story, Mike. You know, been in construction for from very young age, and you climb the ladder and the rank and up to a position where you out taken the people that when you first start, and it's the same structure that everyone was kind of but you know thank God we in a situation and in circumstances that we educate ourselves and understand, we can change that. We can build our own business and be our own boss, and also bless other people through our opportunity or our business to work for us, and give them income and make a living. At the same time, we build a fortune for ourselves, through what we decided to do. Um, it was easy? No, not at all. But we make the decision, and we make it as a committed decision, and we have discipline. We tell ourselves a command, and we follow through, and we go after it. And we have our goal card with me, with you. And then, every day you feel about it, you touch it, you look at it before you go to bed, or before you when you wake up in the morning. And then we realize, when I think where I am, and I said, do I really like where I am? If you don't like it, Bob said, you can change it. You're not a tree to grow in one place and stay there. I grew up in the island. I enjoy living in the island, but I knew in my heart, as a young sibling, I won't be able to have any of what my dad has, asset or accumulation in life. So, one of the story, when I took my old man after 21 years from the mainland to the small island, and every night we were working around our property, like cleaning up and, weed the garden. And then every night we would have a dog, and I ask question, and I asked him, Dad, what do your kind of like decision or plan for your property? And I didn't. When I look back now, that's the best thing that I can had from my dad. He never mentioned my name on the plan. But I think he saw something in me. He knew that I will be survivor if they throw me off board. And I did that. And I went off board from the island, from the comfort of the island. Sometimes my wife told me, Mike, imagine if you're still in the island. Maybe you're still under a coconut tree, somewhere, and drinking coconut tree, or weed the garden, and in the bush. But I said, I'm glad I make the decision, you know. And when the opportunity came through my wife, and we met and developed a relationship, and I decided, okay, I better leave the comfort of the island and go after my dream, as build my family up, and become the best person that I can be. I don't have to rely on my dad to give me properties or give me land or house. I create my own way of health and wealth and asset and stuff like that. So it's so true. We got into the crowd and the circumstances because we grown up with that circumstances.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
was in,
totally up to you to make the decision if you want to change it or not. You can stay where you are, and it's okay. We're not here to judge you on it, but we're here to encourage you. If you can change it, if you really, really want. And Bob say, show me what you really want, and we can show you how to do it.
Exactly. And, Joey, very interesting that you first started talking off about that conformity, and obviously in The Strangest Secret, close to the beginning, he talks about, how we are literally programmed to conform, which is what you were talking about, with the school system. Like, the school system is really about teaching people how to conform. They say, sit down, shut up, we're going to tell you what to think, and then they send them out in the world, to get these jobs or whatever else. No one really wants a job. We're programmed into thinking that that's what we're supposed to do. That's how we're supposed to do it. And And I did that, Joe. I did that from the point of view of, leaving school, going into construction, leaving school, at 15, going straight into construction. But, like the Strangest Secret, I did have goals,
Mm.
I had goals because I could see that guy, the guy would come, driving in his BMW, and I'd say to my dad, who's that guy? He'd say, oh, well, that's the agent. I'd be like, I want his job. And my dad would laugh, and go, son, we don't get those types of jobs, And that's what my dad told me. By the time I was 20, I had that job. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And the funny thing about that, Joe, was a year later, my dad had that job too. Do you know what I mean? I think because my dad saw that I had done it, I broke that spell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we weren't supposed to get those jobs. We were supposed to have the labouring jobs, the foreman jobs, the manhole builder jobs and machine driver jobs, which I did them all. Do you know what I mean? But my goal was to get that job, and I got that job. And then I remember going to a Christmas party, and the director of the company was there. He was like, "Oh, Mike, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm great." He says, "Well, so what's your plan?" I said, "I want your job." 6 years later, I had that job, right? But that was it. I think you have to tell people. You have to say it. You have to tell everybody. You have to tell the right people. Do you know what I mean? People that you trust, that's what you're going to do. You don't need to tell the whole world. Because your actions will, once they come to fruition, that's when the world will know that you did it because you're there. But that conformity thing is a big thing. Yeah, you've got to be careful of that. Similar to the comfort zone. Same as the comfort zone. You're just comfortable in it. You don't want to change it. So like this stuff is like if you don't act on this, you can learn all this stuff like you're talking about, Joe. And again, you're right. We're not judging anybody. We're not prejudging anybody. We're not telling anybody what to do. But once you learn this stuff, once you know this stuff, if you don't apply it, you're actively being ignorant, and that's fine because you know it and you're choosing not to do anything with it. You're neglecting it, and neglected information is just wasteful. Why not use it? Why not? This time's going to pass anyway. Why not use it to try and become better, the best version of yourself? Why not become the best version of yourself? You can imagine being the best version of yourself. Bob talks about it. Act, walk, talk like you're already there. Like some of this stuff is simple, but it's not easy, right? But you have to make that committed decision. You have to be disciplined. You talk about these things, Joe. Anyway, let's get back into a little bit more of it, and we'll see what he says.
Carpenter from the plains of Galilee gave us the secret time and time again. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. I've explained the strangest secret in the world and how it works. Now I want to explain how you can prove to yourself the enormous returns possible in your own life by putting this secret to a practical test. I want you to make a test that will last 30 days. Now, it isn't going to be easy. If you'll give it a good try, it will completely change your life for the better. Back in the 17th century, Sir Isaac Newton, the English...
Hold on a second, Joe. That is a big claim, right? And, like, if you give it a good try, it's going to change your life forever. Like, bloody hell. Like, that's a scary thought. Right, this next 30 days, like what he's going to suggest that you do, which is going to be pretty simple, that what he's going to ask you to do, it's not going to be complicated, but like if you're in that comfort zone, right, this is going to really it's going to make you scared, oh, I can't do this because then things are going to change. Oh my God, I think people do want change, but they want it on their terms, don't they?
True.
They don't want to be forced into change. Like, imagine if you're watching this, you'd be like switching it off now. I was like, fuck that. I'm not getting into. I don't want to change. Oh my God, I'm too comfortable here. This is too cozy.
Yeah.
Like I like my job. Yeah, I'd love a better job. I don't want to do anything in case because I don't want to lose what I've got. People are afraid of losing what they've got. Sometimes I think. And I remember when we started our business. Oh my God, didn't have any customers, didn't have anybody working for us. Didn't have any money coming in. It was nothing, but I always knew that if we got one, we could get 10. Do you know what I mean? So we picked up a customer, right, okay, we can get more. And I remember we built up to, where I was actually making money, right? I could sustain myself, and then we just kind of plateaued. We just stayed there. Comfort zone, Joey. Got into the comfort zone. We're making plenty of money. Everything was fine. We had people working for us. Everything was ticking over nicely, just maintaining. And then it was like, what is holding me back? What's holding us back from moving forward, from continuing to grow? Because it's not like we don't know what to do, because we know what to do, because we got to here. So we just need more of that. And we just maintained. And it was two things. There was two things, right? One, we had set a goal to get there, right? And then we hadn't set another goal. And two was that we were afraid of losing what we had. We were afraid of losing it. If we got too big, the fear was, because we had it in our mind that we wanted to be this like cottage type industry kind of thing, where we didn't want to become this big corporate thing. And in the end, we had to change our mindset to say, do you know what? We need to become a little big company. Do you know what I mean? We needed to grow. We needed to be more corporate. We needed to be more professional. We need to raise our standards, and then we set a new financial goal to get to X figure. And as soon as we did that, and as soon as we changed the self-image of the company, which is in effect our self-image, things just went again. Just skyrocketed again. And then when we got there, we were like, right, okay. And then we reset things again. And then we, right, okay, what's the next step? Franchising. And that's what we did. And then in 2019, we won at the Irish Franchise Awards. So you set these goals, and this is what you're talking about. You become what you think about. Now I'm thinking from a business perspective, from a company perspective. Like the company can't think for itself. It needs people in it to think for it. But the company can have goals. Like you can set up your own business. You can join a company, maybe in network marketing or something like this. The company doesn't do the thinking for you. You can't do the thinking, but you can set the goals for that company that you've just started. You can set the goals. They can give you the compensation plan. You can set your goals on how much money you want to earn, and then you can map it out and you can do it. There's nothing to say that you can't do any of those things. You can change your life. But this is why this is scary, because he's saying here, look, we become what we think about. I'm going to give you some things that you can do in the next 30 days, which will change your life forever. How fucking scary is that? Because do you know why? Because he said at the beginning that this thing here is responsible for your success and your failure. So if you don't do this shit, you're going to fail. If you do this shit, you're going to succeed. Oh my God. Now, what do? And you can't go 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can't dip your toe in the water. This is frightening, Joey. I'm telling you, scary shit.
Yeah.
Let's hear what he's got to say.
Yeah.
English mathematician and natural philosopher, gave us some natural laws of physics which apply as much to human beings as they do to the movement of bodies in the universe. Now, one of these laws is that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Simply stated, as it applies to you and me, it means we can achieve nothing without paying the price. The results of your 30-day experiment will be in direct proportion to the effort you put forth. To be a doctor, you must pay the price of long years of difficult study. To be successful in selling, and remember that each of us succeeds to the extent of his ability to sell, selling our families on our ideas, selling education in schools, selling our children on the advantages of living the good and honest life, selling our associates and employees on the importance of being exceptional people, to, of course, the profession of selling itself. But to be successful in selling our way to the good life, we must be willing to pay the price. Now, what is that price? Well, it's many things. First, it's understanding emotionally, as well as intellectually, that we literally become what we think about, that we must control our thoughts if we're to control our lives. It's understanding fully that, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Secondly, it's cutting away all the fetters from the mind and permitting it to soar as it was divinely designed to do. It's the realization that your limitations are self-imposed, and that the opportunities for you today are enormous beyond belief. It's rising above narrow-minded pettiness and prejudice. Thirdly, to use all your courage to force yourself to think positively on your own problem, to set a definite and clearly defined goal for yourself, to let your marvelous mind think about your goal from all possible angles, to let your imagination speculate freely upon many different possible solutions, to refuse to believe there are any circumstances sufficiently strong to defeat you in the accomplishment of your purpose, to act promptly and decisively when your course is clear, and to keep constantly aware of the fact that you are, at this moment, standing in the middle of your own acre of diamonds, as Russell Conwell used to point out. Fourth, save at least 10% of what you earn. It's also remembering that no matter what your present job, it has enormous possibilities if you're willing to pay the price. Now let's just go over the important points in the price each of us must pay to achieve the wonderful life that can be ours. It is, of course, worth any price. 1, you will become what you think about. 2, remember the word imagination. Let your mind soar. 3, courage. Concentrate on your goal every day. 4, save 10% of what you earn. And action. Ideas are worthless unless we act on them. Now I'll try to outline the 30-day test I want you to make. Now keep in mind that you have nothing to lose by making this test, and everything you could possibly want to gain. There are 2 things that may be said of everyone. Each of us wants something, and each of us is afraid of something. I want you to write on a card what it is you want more than anything else. It may be more money. Perhaps you'd like to double your income or make a specific amount of money. It may be a beautiful home. It may be success at your job. It may be a particular position in life. It could be a more harmonious family. Each of us wants something. Write down on your card specifically what it is that you want. Make sure it's a single goal and clearly defined. You needn't show it to anyone, but carry it with you so that you can look at it several times a day. Think about it in a cheerful, relaxed, positive way each morning when you get up, and immediately you have something to work for, something to get out of bed for, something to live for. Look at it every chance you get during the day and just before going to bed at night. As you look at it, remember that you must become what you think about, and since you're thinking about your goal, you realize that soon it will be yours. In fact, it's yours really the moment you write it down and begin to think about it. Look at the abundance all around you as you go about your daily business. You have as much right to this abundance as any other living creature. It's yours for the asking. Now we come to the difficult part. Difficult because it means the formation of what is probably a brand new habit, and new habits are not easily formed. Once formed, however, it'll follow you for the rest of your life. Stop thinking about what it is you fear. Each time a fearful or negative thought comes into your consciousness, replace it with a mental picture of your positive and worthwhile goal. There will come times when you will feel like giving up. It's easier for a human being to think negatively than positively. That's why only 5% is successful. You must begin now to place yourself in that group. For 30 days, you must take control of your mind. It will think only about what you permit it to think. Each day for this 30-day test, do more than you have to do. In addition to maintaining a cheerful, positive outlook, give of yourself more than you've ever done before. Do this knowing that your returns in life must be in direct proportion to what you give. The moment you decide on a goal to work toward, you're immediately a successful person. You're then in that rare and successful category of people who know where they're going. Out of every 100 people, you belong to the top 5. Don't concern yourself too much with how you're going to achieve your goal. Leave that completely to a power greater than yourself. All you have to do is know where you're going. The answers will come to you of their own accord. Remember these words from the Sermon on the Mount, and remember them well. Keep them constantly before you this month of your test. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For every one that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. It's as marvelous and as simple as that. In fact, it's so simple that in our seemingly complicated world it's difficult for an adult to understand that all he needs is a purpose and faith. For 30 days, do your best. If you're a salesman, go at it as you've never done before, not in hectic fashion, but with the calm, cheerful assurance that time well spent will give you the abundance in return you deserve and want. No matter what your job, do it as you've never done it before for 30 days. And if you've kept your goal before you every day, you'll wonder and marvel at this new life you've found. Dorothea Brand, outstanding editor and writer, discovered it for herself and tells about it in her fine book, Wake Up and Live. Her entire philosophy is reduced to the words, act as though it were impossible to fail. She made her own test, with sincerity and faith, and her entire life was changed to one of overwhelming success. Now you make your test for 30 full days. Don't start your test until you've made up your mind to stick with it. You see, by being persistent, you're demonstrating faith. Persistence is simply another word for faith. If you didn't have faith, you would never persist.
Right, Joey. I think well, leave it there. Now I have put the link to this in the comments that if you wanted to go and listen to this yourself, and the key to this is listening to this morning and evening every day, right? Reprogramming your mind. And look, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. Right. To change something, you've got to build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. And this is what this is talking about. It's about changing your mind, changing how you think, changing how you operate, changing your habits, doing more. And we all want more. More is like better. We want better. And if you want better, you've got to be better. If you want more, you've got to do more. Simple stuff. Joe, we're going to get your final thoughts, right? I know you joined us late, but you're an expert on this topic for sure. Because of the success that you've had by implementing these things. You do a lot of this stuff already. You do think. You plant those seeds. You focus on them. You have a goal card. You have all of these things, and you've had your own successes from the perspective of building a property portfolio, from scratch. You didn't have one. You had an idea. You had a vision that you wanted to do it, and you were persistent in doing it. And now you've got projects with your son that you've got going on and things like this, and these are amazing things, So, we love Joey's final thoughts. We do, and of course, this is the $1 million difference maker, Joye Maka Unga. So let's get Joey's final thoughts anyway, right? And I'm excited to hear, what your thoughts and feelings are, which I thought was interesting. It talks about wants and fears. Scary stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so I'm interested to hear what Joey's got to say. Take it away, Joey.
Thanks, Mike, and everyone. Really appreciate your time. And if you are here watching this or watching the replay, there must be a reason or something that attracted you to be part of this journey with us. We're just ordinary people growing up in an ordinary family, but we know we have more in life to give. And when you start to think, like Earl Nightingale reminds us in the Strangest Secret, things start to change, because most of the problem with people nowadays that they are not really think, and things come from the activity happen around our mind, and it's connected to our heart. And when we connect it to our heart, we start to feel emotion about it, and we start to act and be and like what we want to become. So if you can take away something tonight, we encourage you to listen to this piece of gold nugget, The Strangest Secret. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on your audiobooks. This piece of content, Mike and myself, and I share from my experience, have transformed my life. I decided to write a call card and carry with me every single day. I started to think instead of reacting, when something happened to me. And then I stop, I breathe, and then I think, I don't know how to do what I want to do, as long I believe I can do this. And I think that's the main thing. And he says something that captured my attention, that after watching and listening to this piece of audio for a long time, he said, you don't have to know how to do the things that you want in life. Just leave it to a power that is higher than all of us. Maybe the infinity, maybe the universe, or maybe God. And it's so true. Bob Proctor used to teach us, sometimes you have to let go and let God. Know what you really want in life, decide it, you're going to do it, and make a committed decision, and start put down what's in your mind in a piece of paper. Write down your goal. Carry with you every single day. Touch it and feel it, because you want the connection. You want the spiritual to work within you, so that when it's work within you, It's come from inside. And when anything come from inside, that's what you want. You are unstoppable. The world will try to pull you back. The world will tell you you are not good enough. You are male, you are female. You can't do this. No one have ever stepped in the moon. No one have ever run the 1K kilometer or something like that in less than 1 minute or something like that. But it can be done because some people done it before, and now it's proven that everything that the mind put into it, you can conceive it. You can go after what you really want in life. Connect what you think about all day long, connect it to your spirit, to your inner self, you know, because then when you feel emotion about it, when you wake up in the morning, despite the cold, despite the wind, the storm, the hail, the earthquake, you still get up and get going because your why is big enough. Your why is big enough than your reason, your excuses. And that's why you keep standing up every single day to do something for your family or your loved ones or your parents or your sibling, because you knew inside in your heart you got something bigger inside you. And when you understand that concept, you could just go out to the world and I say yes, I'll tell the world and I'll figure it out. Remember, you don't have to know how, or you have to know that I am going to do this. And you will be amazed, the people you will attract, the mentor, the teachers, the coaches, the environment that you're going to immerse yourself with. And you're going to look back and think, man, I need a microscope to take a look at my future life because, I have no idea how I get here. But it's only, that's the strangest secret. You are who you think about all day long. Our mind is the most powerful things. Earl Nightingale referred to a big truck, moving F truck. I saw those truck, Mike, in the mining industry. In here in Australia, we have a few mines in Australia, and there's those truck can make the human being look like a tiny ant. But that's the little man that operate the machine. And that's why, we can use that as a metaphor for our life. Our brain can direct us in different direction. Our brain can, our mind can tell us, what we can do, what to leave behind, and what to discipline on, or what to build, what to demolish, because it's a very powerful tool. And if you believe in it yourself, absolutely, you will become a different makers. Everywhere you go, people will look at you and they said, like Jim Rohn said, here's the guy, here's the man. And it's so true. In my journey, I experienced that when I decided that I'm going to change the direction of my life, like the story I share with you, when I understand that I didn't have anything of my dad asset. And I, at first, when I don't think, I will react and said, I blame my dad, for having that unkind heart for me. But then I reverse engineer and I said to myself, this is the greatest things that happened to me. When someone told me that I got nothing in this world, I know I have one thing in this world. I have God, and I have my faith, and I have my mind, and I can do whatever I want to do. I'm going to be like a ship that I know the direction that I'm going. I'm not going to be a ship that doesn't have a goals, that going to drift around the ocean and end up in a shipwreck or end up in a reef somewhere. I design my life. I design my lifestyle. I design my legacy, because I am co-creator. I am God' highest form of creation. God put me into this world to make a difference in people's life. And, myself and Mike, our journey, our calling, may be different in a different ambition or businesses that we do, but we are on the same purpose, is to make a positive impact in people's life. And tonight, there's no secret. The only secret is know that you are God's highest form of creation. and you have a tremendous power within you, like Bob Proctor talked about it, that you can go places, that you can speak to a lot of people, that you can save a lot of people and help change a lot of lives in this world. And by doing that, you can have whatever you want in life, because Zig Ziglar will sum up, you can have everything in life if you help enough people get what they want in life. Mike, thank you very much for the opportunity. You know, we encourage you, go back and listen to that. Don't listen once. Listen it for 30 days, like the challenge that he gave you. And then know that everything that you want in life, there is a price to pay. Pay it. Go for it. You know, face the challenge, face your fear, and if your fear will lift you. You know, save. Don't work and just splash it and just spend it. You know, save 10% of your money. You know, put in some ways, it will generate you income. It will get your ROI, or your return your investment. You know, have courage. You know, a lot of people in this world, they just want conformity. I just want comfortable. I just follow what my dad do. I just follow what my sibling do. You know, change the way you are, change your direction, change the way you think, and change your result. Also, the last one, take action. You know, you can learn, you can read every book that you want to read, listen to audio book that you want to listen, or watch any video or clips or podcast you want to. But if you don't make the committed decision to go out and do it, you know, it might be embarrassing. It might be put you exposed to the world, and they will say something that they to degrading you or prejudge you for what you do. Remember, you are God's highest form of creation. When you have God, you have everything in life. And that's my last, strangest secret that I can give you from my experience. When you know you are God's highest form of creation, you are part of co-creation. And the secret that I can pass for you from my experience, when you know in your heart that you have God, you have everything in life. Amen. Thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate the time. And thank you. I am humbled by the opportunity. You always give it to me to share this with the world. And let's go out and make an impact in the world and make a difference.
I appreciate it, Joey. And yeah, I love everything you said then. Now, listen, I just want to quickly mention, we've got this on the screen here, this Elevate. This is in Sydney on May 2nd. So if you're in Sydney or around Sydney, you can go to the Isogenics head office, 12:30 to 5:30. Ticket price 10 quid, and you can go and meet Joey, listen to Joey speaking on stage, and you can be inspired. There might be some other people there. Maybe if you don't like listening to Joey, you might like listening to some of the other people like Nicole Coughlin, Louise Pantenlo, Sarah Whitehead, Heather Reichard, and of course, Loki Horner. He's a product expert,
Yeah.
So
Aussie guy.
Yeah, get yourself down there. Like if you're around there, get yourself down there, go and see Joey, go and say, hey, Joey, listen, I heard you on that podcast. I just want to say hi. What are you up to? How do I get involved? What are my next steps, if any? So get yourself down there, right? So Sydney, Australia, May 2nd, it's not long away. And you can go and listen to Joey tell his story and share his insights, into business, into what he does, how he does it, and how you can get involved too if you want, if you really, really want. And that's what it's about. It's about deciding what you really want. This is what Joey talks about all the time. Decide what you really want. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. Decide what you really, really want. In the video that we're going to watch, it tells you that. Decide what you don't even know how to do it. You just got to know that you want it. So that Earl Nightingale stuff, that is, right, it's amazing. I want to watch more of it.
Oh, very powerful.
Now, don't forget, if you want to, obviously, you can find Joey on his Facebook page. Let me just get that so that people can see it. Yeah, so you can find Joey on his Facebook page for sure. Provides a lot of great content. Did you not see the content that was there in his army gear? Do you know what I mean? He looks tough, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I like it. And go and check him out. You can find him there. You can also find him on his Isogenics business page. Hold on a second. Let me just, hold on. On his Isogenics business page here, right? That's the link. Go there, find Joey there. If you scroll to the bottom of that page, you'll see a big contact form. Fill it out. All you need to do is put in your name, your best email address, your phone number, good time to call, and Joey will give you a call. If you want to buy tickets, get onto him that way. And again, you can also find him on his Facebook page. Obviously that's where that information is. But again, go and check him out. His contact details are here. Go and check him out. And of course, if you're looking for me, you'll find me on our academy, on the Pets of this Island Academy of Excellence. It's an opportunity where you can go and start. We teach you how to build your own business. More importantly, you get to keep every penny that you earn. We don't want anything for it. We just want to help you be able to build a business. One that I have, six-figure turnover, high six-figure turnover. Why can't you have the same? Why can't you have the same? You can. Everybody can. You've just got to decide what you really, really want. So ongoing training support, trusted brand, comprehensive training resources, flexible business model, wide range of services, community and network. Who doesn't want to join a community? We want community, right? And it's about making a difference. It's really about helping people feel better about something that makes them feel bad. And if you want to reach out, you can book this. You click that button there, and it's going to bring you to this page where you can actually book a time. Look, just click on one of these, and we can set up a video call. Right, that's what I like to do. I like to do it with a video call. Oh, Joey, I love doing video calls. I absolutely love it. Right, okay. So, we're going to play out with my favorite video. Right, if you're not watching this video every day, I don't know what's wrong with it. But that Earl Nightingale one, I'm definitely going to listen to it. I definitely am. Because I want to change my life in 30 days, Joe. Why not? There's more I can do. There's more that I can accomplish. There's more than that I can achieve. And we're all guilty of putting things off tomorrow that we can do today. And, I like what it is you say. Do it now. That's what it's like. Do it now. When it pops into your mind, you do it now. Just do it now. Do it now. And in fact, Brian Tracy talks about that. Do it now. Do it now. When you get up in the morning, say it. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. And it just sticks in my bloody head. And that's what I hate about this. Because when you learn this stuff, it sticks in your head. And then if you don't do it, you're like, why didn't I do it? I should have just done it then. Why have I wasted all this time? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, right. Let's play out with this video, and we'll catch you next week. You've been watching Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, episode 134. Earl Nightingale's The Greatest Secret. Don't forget, links in the description. Link is in the comments for the video. We encourage you and challenge you to take the challenge.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.